I don't actually see, I saw Dana before. I don't know if she's spotlighting. I see just her pictures there, but thank you, Dana. So now we're going to move to uh, panel members. Eddie, did your mom, were you able to teach her how to use Zoom? Okay, so I can't hear you, Ed.
No, her computer isn't her little computer she got don't work. So
Okay, so we were going to have Eddie's mom, but unfortunately she's not here. But we have Terri Weiss, who is Shine's mom, and we've got Diana Gregory here, and she's a chapter leader for Georgia's Moms Demand Action. So, going to have Diana tell you a little bit about what Georgia demands, what Moms Demand Action do, and also has Students Demands Action. But and also then she will lead the um, questions for Terri. And thank you, Terri, for being here.
Hi, everyone. Like Mitchell said, my name is Diana Gregory. I'm the current chapter leader for Georgia for Moms Demand Action for Common Sense Gun Laws in America. Our organization is part of Everytown for Gun Safety. I became involved with Moms Demand Action back in 2018 after the Parkland shooting. I also grew up on the Newtown Bethel border, so the Sandy Hook school shooting impacted my family and all of us around and has permanently been part of our lives. Moms Demand Action has multiple initiatives within the gun violence prevention movement. Our organization is action driven. We're focused on political advocacy to pass sensible gun laws in our state legislature. We also collaborate with multiple community partners to support and amplify their efforts in areas such as CVI or community violence intervention, suicide prevention, domestic violence is a big one for us, city gun violence, secure storage, among many others. I do want to
Wow,
say that every
what
time
you
for
call what you said you did.
Oh, sorry. Thought somebody was asking a question. I do want to say that every town for gun safety has a very large, across 50 states, network of gun violence survivors. A lot of my survivors are friends here in the Atlanta area because of my community partner work. But it is nice to have a tribe of folks that have survived a similar experience of you, and I can give you some information. Terri, definitely, we have an event coming up on the 26th. I would love for you to meet some of our local survivor moms in Atlanta. So I'll get you that into the thing later. I want to say just thank you so much to the survivors. Years and years, 25 years ago, I did work with traumatic brain injury clients, but they were from car accidents and motorcycle accidents. I was a manager for group home stuff. So some of the stuff that I learned from your from April Shine and Eddie from your speeches I've written down. One keeps standing out to me, but it's the devil always answers your prayers as well. I thought that was a very interesting comment and I will be keeping that. So our next panel is family members of gunshot survivors. As you know, it's not just the person that has been directly impacted by a gunshot. It is actually the families and the teachers and the sisters and the brothers. The spread is so large. So we are going to hear today from Terri Weiss, who's a mother to Shine, and how she's been directly impacted in her day-to-day life by being a survivor herself of gun violence. We want to explore what the ripple effects are on our families, the emotional trauma, the financial challenges, and we'd like to focus on ways to strengthen our support systems for our families that are affected by gun violence. So I want to introduce Terri Weiss, and it is so great to meet you. Terri, we'll get you unmuted. There you go.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Diana. I just
Hi.
wanted you to know, Diana, that I do subscribe to the Moms Demand Action. I
Oh,
get
you
your
do?
emails on a regular basis, and they're very, very informative and helpful to see what you're doing to advocate for gunshot victims. Although it doesn't seem like anything is happening, I know that, it takes time. So I just appreciate the work that you do.
Yeah, it's a step by step, a little step by little step, and it seems like you want it to happen so fast, but it's just that's just not the process, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So yeah. So tell me, and I've known from family members' experience and stuff, but tell me how, when you first heard about Shine being shot and he was in the hospital, what were some of your first thoughts that went through your head? Were you down here in Atlanta
Yes,
when it happened? Okay.
I was.
You have
Mhm.
you had to
And
travel up to Philly.
it was really weird because nobody knew. He's a person that's very communicative, and people were contacting me, asking me had I seen him or had I heard from him. And I, as a mom, you know, we have that instinct. I knew something was wrong when people were reaching out to me, and when I found out that he was shot, I didn't go immediately. I think I was in shock right away. And I got something, you know, so I had to get there right away. So I went. His father and I were there for 2 weeks before, because and he was out of it. He was in a coma. He wasn't aware, he wasn't cohesive, and we were flying back and forth taking shifts, which is why his sister was there when he woke up, and that was the third person. You know, were alternating weeks. And so when I got there, the doctors warned me about what I was going to see when I walked in the room. They were trying, you know, preparing me. And the first thing I had to do was, this is really weird, but I had to shut down social media. I
Yeah.
contacted everybody that knew him and I told them, do not say anything to anybody about this situation. Because we didn't know what happened. We didn't know what to say. We didn't know if the perpetrator was still out there. You know, we just didn't know. So I shut everything and everybody down, friends, everybody, until we could find out what was going on. And I restricted his visitation to family only. So
Yeah.
when I walked in and I saw him, the shock, no matter what they said, it could not have prepared me for what I was going to see when I walked in. Um,
It's okay. I just want to tell you, your
Come
story
on,
is so
mom, I got you.
important.
It's
I
okay,
just couldn't
mom.
believe it, you know what I mean? And I'm a praying person, you know, and I just immediately just begin to pray. And I just wanted to be there, you know, to make sure he was okay. I asked lots and lots and lots and lots of questions. And it's so weird because this is the first time in 3 years that I've had an opportunity to really share about anything, because I've been an automatic pilot since he got here, you know, since it happened, you know, just getting in. Is he okay? Is he going to be okay? What do we need to do? I was calling people, calling the Shepherd Center, trying to connect with people, you know, just to find out what is this? Because it's a whole, I tell people, this is a whole new world. This is
Yeah.
a whole new, it's a whole community all by itself, separate from everything that I've ever known. And so I just prayed and asked God to help me and show me what to do in order to take care of him. And he was in New Jersey for a while. I was in a situation where I was in a two-story home that I knew I would not be able to accommodate him. So I had to move from there to and find a one level because I knew I would need
Mhm.
to accommodate, you know, the wheelchair and everything. So by the time I got here, he had been in rehab and had been released, which was a blessing because there were some things that he was able to do. My brother came with him when he came down. And so I had everything set up. You know, he was so good with kind of guiding me as to what his needs may be. You know, I need this, I need that. You know what I mean? And I was able to follow his lead and set everything up to where it would be comfortable. And my only thought was to maintain a clean and safe environment. I wasn't concerned about anything else. I needed a clean, safe environment where he could heal and where he could recover. You know, that was the only thing I cared about. I left everything. I left my job. I went from making a decent amount of money to making nothing, but I didn't worry about it. I'm just a person of faith. I trusted God. I had family members that said they would help, and they did. They helped maintain us until we could get things started. And so that's what I did. I wanted to make sure that he had the proper care and that he had the advocacy that he needed initially to be okay. I didn't know what to do, how to do it. I just went into mother mode. That's the only thing
Yeah.
I knew, was mommy mode. And I knew his personality. We both have very strong personalities, so I was just praying about how, and he's a grown man, and men and women are different. So I was just praying about how to navigate through that, how to help him, how to understand, what he was going through, and I didn't. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes. I mean, I did a lot of things wrong, even to this day. A lot of times I say and do the wrong thing because I don't understand, what it is. And he's very good with explaining it to me, and he's helping me. So, it was just a shock, initially. And I don't think that people understand that family members are affected too. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I feel like was paralyzed, and I feel like I was too. I feel like everything he was going through, I was going through it, not the same way, but emotionally. Whatever he was feeling, there's a hypersensitivity on both sides, as to what trying to meet the need, him trying to help me meet the need, and me trying to meet the need and botching it up. And then we get it right. And then, I make some more mistakes. So, we just went through I think the love and the prayers, the love has to be unconditional. I could not put any expectations on his recovery, although I pushed and allowed him to recover at his pace, because I didn't want to, I knew that he, as a man, would feel better when he decided the things that he wanted to do. So I did everything. And then little bit by little bit, he took things away from me as he wanted to become more independent, which was great because when he decided he wanted to take it, he felt better. I wasn't the type of mother that said, and you need to do this now, and you need to do that now, and you need to start doing this. No, I did it until he said, Mom, I got this. I can do this now. And I still struggle with it
I
because
was
I'm
gonna
always going to be mom.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of it is the how you react to it is depends on kind of your role as a mom and nurturing and stuff, opposed to a sister or sibling or a wife is going to react differently. I don't think you probably made big as mistakes as you think you did because you learned from your mistakes, and nobody knows how everything is going to, work together. And it sounds like you've done a fantastic job. Um, oh, I just lost my train of thought.
Done a
So
great
when
job,
he,
mom.
Hmm?
yes, and
You've done a
he's
great job,
hearting you.
mom.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Yeah, no, and people need to hear your story. And like I was saying about Shine and Eddie, is that people often go to the negative, that they think that the person who's shot by a gunshot victim has done something, that they're a drug dealer or they're a robbery or something like that. They automatically go to that. So telling your story and letting people hear you is very important because you're not just a number anymore. You're actually a human being that they can relate to and they
Mhm.
can understand and comprehend. And that's part of how bills get changed in our legislature too. So I just want to commend you and keep telling your story, and Shine, keep telling your story because people need to listen. So when he came to your home, what are the first things that you had to do for adaptability? You said you were in a second story at first, and how long were you there for? And do
No,
you,
I was in the one story when he came.
oh, one story. Okay,
Mhm.
what did you have to do to your home to make it accessible for him? Doorways, I assume, was probably the first thing.
Well, and the ramps was the most important thing so that he could have accessibility to get in and out, which is cool because we were able to get portable ramps, and we have one
Oh
that
yeah.
he can go out of my garage. So the wheelchair, it's cool. If the van pulls up, he can go right into the van from the garage, and then
Okay,
I can move it to the front door if I need to, and I have another ramp at the back door. And it's just a one step, one
that's
step. So the
perfect.
ramps are not real high, and they fold up. I can lift them up, fold them up, and take them somewhere else. So that's been a huge blessing. The only really big challenge that I think we had was him taking a shower. he got to the point where he wanted to take a shower and my bathroom door wasn't wide enough for him to do it. But I'm gonna tell you something about my son, and he really has helped me. He thinks and brainstorms about, okay, how am I going to do things? And I remember that he wanted to practice getting on the floor and getting back up in the wheelchair in case he fell. Those are the type of things he thinks about. So I would help him get down on the floor and he would work on trying to get back up into the bed or into the wheelchair. And it was really hard, but he just kept doing it until he would get it. It was really, really difficult, those type of things. So he figured out how to get in the shower by getting on the floor, scooting into the shower, holding on to the toilet, lifting up onto the side of the tub, and then transferring into the shower chair. So, and now he figured out that he could take a piece off of the door jamb. So now the wheelchair can fit in
Yeah.
there and he can transfer, boom, into the shower. So he's a person that is very resourceful, as am I.
Yeah.
I've always been that way all my life, and he's always been that way. So thinking about how to do things, he can get in the kitchen and cook, the living room. The only problem is my couches are so low, they sink down, so it's hard for him to sit and on a couch in the living room watch TV. So, but he has a television in his room, so it's not. We don't have a lot of accessibility issues except for me with the bathroom.
I wouldn't even have thought of something like a couch. That's amazing that you just even brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have the reclining chairs that have the little clicker that can help you. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably a great. I didn't even, gosh, yeah. Um, Now you told us earlier that you worked full time. Are you back to working full time, or how are you?
No,
Total
I
change.
left the job. I work remotely, but the pay is really, really small. I'm a real estate agent as well.
Oh.
So being that what I did was I got a team. And it's because I didn't want to initially get back out. I didn't really like being away from him long periods of time in the beginning. And a lot of times doing real estate, you have to be out all day, looking at properties, doing contracts at the office or whatever. So what I did was I had a boots on the ground people. They find the properties for me. And we work together and I do the contracts, and do the negotiations from home and make the phone calls and we work together. So that's how I worked it out financially. And I'm kind of like a hustler type person. I just find ways and means to make money, any way I can. And my son is the same way. I've just always been a cat, kind of an entrepreneurial spirit ever since I was a young woman. So, I just make it work. And even now that he's going to transition out into his own place, I'm not really worried about it. Like I get paid for the caregiving, but when he leaves, I want those caregivers, of course, to go with him to help him, and I'll figure it out. I told him, don't worry about me. I'll be okay. I will figure it out. I want him to thrive. I want him to travel. I want him to go places. I want him to live. I have pushed him to travel. He's traveled a couple times to other states by himself. And this was kind of early on. I just want him to understand there's life after paraplegia.
Yeah, it sounds like mother like son, and fixing and figuring out and hustling and figuring out what you got to do next and stuff. Yeah, I think day to day regular people would not think about, the couch heights, the chair heights, the doorways to the bathroom are usually like 30 inches wide as it is. It sounds like you guys have done a good job communicating and
Hmm.
figuring out your place. So that's wonderful. Um, what services or peer support or other support services you could have benefited from when the injury first happened that you think other gunshot victim survivors could benefit from?
It's been a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's been pure hell, really, trying to navigate that and figure it out. It took 7 months to even get his services started. So of course there were a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, everything we had to purchase ourselves. And I mean, it was like pulling teeth. The Medicaid system, I can't even describe how horrible it was trying to apply. even reaching out to people and getting advocates to help you, it was like people just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
They just don't have the help that we needed, to really get started. We did really pretty much everything on our own. And I thank God today for the Shepherd Center. I tell you, if it wasn't for the Shepherd Center, I don't know where we would be. I called and they said that there were no programs at that particular time because it was during COVID. And he just kept pressing and pressing, and he called them and found out there was a volunteer program called RSVP. And once he linked up with them, his whole life changed. Everything was
Okay.
different from that point on. So it was nobody but God, in prayer as we just continued to pray, how God just led, just put the things in place, for him to be able to move forward and do the things that he needed to do. And he's a person that doesn't take no for an answer. He'll just keep on pressing and pressing, and myself as well, until we can get the proper response. But getting services for him was the worst. It was the worst. And even now, it's still very, very difficult. Like even the housing situation, trying to find people to advocate for that. We had to go through, I think, two or three different caregiving people, maybe four, to finally get somebody that would help him in that particular area. So it's just been really difficult.
Were the caregivers just for bonding reasons, or their just personalities just didn't fit? Was the issue?
I think they could only help us to a certain point. Like the first people, they couldn't do anything. The second people were able to get us to a certain point in order to get his
Okay.
supplies started and getting things coming to the house that he needed. And then this last person that he called, they're the people that are pressing in for the housing. I just feel like it kind of went the way it was supposed to when
Okay.
it was time. And that the people showed up that were supposed to meet that particular need.
So it sounds
I
like
mean,
different
that's just my
levels.
feeling about it.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I think that was just my feeling about it, that people, as we continue to reach out and as he continued to reach out, I think people showed up at the appointed time for what he needed in that particular space or season.
Okay. So it was more of a level up for each step that he needed. It worked
Hmm.
out that way as well. Um, what do you recommend, like if you met a mother or sibling or a wife of somebody who is paralyzed from a gunshot wound, what would your advice be to somebody who's just coming out of rehab and coming home? Is there any advice that you can give them that would avoid some of the pitfalls that you ran into in the beginning?
I think just reaching out, just constantly making those phone calls, and reaching out, to other people. I think Shine's turning point came when he was able to get on a Zoom call with other paraplegics. I would tell mothers to connect their children or connect the person that they're taking care of with an organization that has the Zoom calls, someone where their family member can connect, because those people are the people they have various times of being paralyzed, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. They're the people that have the information. So as they connect to those type of groups, that's when they'll start to get the information as to what to do. Even with his bowel program and all different equipment that's needed, they gave him all that information. It was wonderful. That was the turning point. So I would
Yeah.
advise the caregiver to connect or link up with a group like that so that
So
they can get the information.
yeah, that have had similar perspectives of
Yes.
their journey through the whole thing.
Hmm.
I just want to say thank you so much. I'm just going to open up to audience questions right now for you if you're open to that.
Sure.
Does anybody have questions for Terri? I apologize. I need to put my glasses on. I think April.
I don't have a question, but I do want to just tell you that I just want to say thank you so much. I know for your son, I know what it feels like to be in his shoes a bit. And I know my mom struggled through being kind of my main support. And I know we can sometimes be hard on y'all, but your mistakes are not anywhere near as bad. I'll tell you what, you're not anywhere near as bad as a dad, because my dad made a whole lot of mistakes and he's been banned from certain things, so he is not allowed to help anymore. But I'm sure you did an excellent job and you're still doing it. I'm sure he knows he wouldn't want to be anywhere without you, because my mom is my rock right now too.
Yeah, and I love him, dearly. I love both my children, and there is a pain level that I experience, watching him suffer through, this new normal, I can't describe to you the hurt, that I experience, and I have to suffer in silence because he's got his own pain. And I don't want to put mine on top of his. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going through 10 times probably what I'm feeling. So I've learned to suffer in silence. So I think that where I am today is self-care for me is key, and he has helped me. I know one time, because I was isolated, I would sit on the couch and wait for the next thing that I needed to do to help him. I wasn't worried about my life, having a life, doing anything. And one day he said to me, "You just an old ass lady. You don't do nothing but sit on the couch. You don't go nowhere. You don't do nothing." Because I wasn't dressing. I like to dress. I mean, I like to dress, go out, and I did all that before he came, but he didn't see me that way. So, but even though he said that, guys, it was the best thing he ever could have said to me, because I went in my bedroom, I got dressed, I put my makeup on, I went and got my hair done, bought me some new clothes, and I hit the road. And I started getting back out, getting back with friends, going out, doing things. Now I go to the gym, a few times a week, and exercise class and water aerobics and all those kind of things, because I was afraid to be apart. Because you got to understand, my son is a daredevil. And when I would leave the house, he would be trying stuff and end up on the floor, and I would be freaking out. So I have to tell him, "Look, when I leave, don't be trying nothing new."
Well,
But I had to get over that fear, and everything, and understand that, all was well, that he would be okay. But yeah, I've started to take my life back. And I think that's important for the caregivers too, to understand they have to have a balance between taking care of their loved one and taking care of themselves as well.
I got stronger. I got stronger, Mom, so that gave you more time to do your thing.
Yes, yes. As he got stronger, I had more and more confidence. And sometimes I would purposely do things. And while I was out, like I started going to Panera Bread and taking my computer and do some work. And I didn't want to be at Panera Bread, but I would purposely go there to give him an opportunity, first of all, to breathe and be without me. Because I know there would be times where he would be sick of me. I understand that. And also let him figure out how to navigate, go make a sandwich, cook something, do certain things on his own without me. And I would be afraid. I would. And but I forced myself to do it, to give him the time to be with himself and to navigate through things. So that worked out really well. I mean, I just thank God for his personality, and that I knew that he's a warrior, that he's a fighter, and that he's not a person that's gonna, I mean, he sat in the bed for a long time, but let me tell you something, he was sitting in that bed thinking about how he could make a life for himself. So I thank God for that.
I think he knew you needed the self-care, and he forced you to do that. You need self-care is so important, and he knew you needed it. And Shine, she's probably going to start telling your dirty little secrets shortly, but we got to be careful on that. I just want to I'm going to go to Robert in 1 second, but I just want to say there's a couple chats in there. I would be Shine actually said I would be on Zoom all night long in the beginning of an injury, and that's actually really good too, to know for folks that there's options out there as well. Um, Jules said, thank you so much for sharing your mother's narrative. Terri, I messaged you separately with some information. Dr. Jasmine Clark, who I love, I appreciate you highlighting this perspective. Dr. Tepper said you can read some of the chats. Oh, sorry, ignore that one. He's talking to me. And Shine said, I got stronger. And April said, same with us. So I'm just going to go to Robert's right now. Robert's iPhone. I think there's 2 Roberts in here. There you are. I think he's trying to unmute.
You're muted.
There we go. I just figured out how to raise my hand on this. I'm no good with technology, but I wanted to say for all of you, I didn't really realize how important it is to talk to people, to share with people until I started hearing these incredible stories. And it helps people to understand what it's like to go through traumas. And also, I want to say that what you went through with your son, it was 10 times worse for him. I've talked to many mothers and I've seen many mothers when they see challenges their children have to go through. And it is 10 times worse for the mother because they take so much heart to the fact
Yeah.
that their children are suffering. And one other thing too, because I'm 68 years old, I've seen a lot of different things, different uh, times in people's lives. And when we're adolescents, we're very rebellious. And I think it's wired into us for our independence. But many, 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 many times when we drop our shields for independence, I've heard so many people say in their 20s and 30s, I've turned into my parents.
Yeah.
And this is what you did for your son. You showed him your example, and he imitated that as he grew up, as he grew older and independent himself. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Bob. I just want to
Robert.
say that
Oh, it's Bob.
I didn't get shot, but I always said it was harder on my mother. My father had already passed away when I broke my neck. So I think that as a person that's injured, we might be quote unquote helpless in some ways, but we could help ourselves in our rehabilitation. We could work towards getting better. But I think as a witness, whether it's a parent, a lover, a partner, a child, you're probably feel more helpless because there's so much things you can't do for them that you want to do. So thank you, Terri. And there was another comment here from Sananda said, thank you everyone for sharing your stories, resources, and knowledge. Eddie, Shine, and my new friend April today, you filled me with the mixed emotions of sadness, inspiration, and deep joy for all of your successes thus far. You all have wonderful spirits, and it's been a privilege to be present with you all today. And I adore Ms. Weiss as well. Sounds like both of you and Shine are making great strides in this journey. Thank you. Thank you. Great.